A very good evening and warm welcome to the Lit Tour, an initiative of Literia Insight to bring books and silver screen together and to narrow down the journey of bestsellers to blockbusters. We have with us some esteemed guests today from various fields and who would enlighten us on the topic of books, drama, and screen. So without further delay, let me introduce everyone. Heena Dsouza. For a young girl, where going to the cinema was not an easy option, Heena explored her love for films through theatre and poetry. She took bold steps to mold her passion into a career. Known for her films Vigna Bharta, Mukesh Jasoos, and Crushed, Heena Dsouza is a writer and director. Welcome, Heena. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jyoti, for such a kind introduction.
Thank you. My pleasure. And we have with us Parjanya Adhikari, a Franz Kafka admirer. Parjanya Adhikari is a trained copywriter, avid traveler, and great foodie. Working for event companies, he mentors young talent in the creative space, marketing, and advertising. He aims to bring to light someday many of his unfinished stories, novels, free verse poetries, and musings. So welcome, Parjanya. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone. I am in awe of all of you. आप लोग सब established वो है, in your own, in your own genres, you are all established people. I am in that kind of, just for bread and butter, I work for other jobs which don't involve my soul and my spirit. So I am hoping कि transition शायद आप लोगों से inspiration मिलके I will be able to do something better with the rest of my career. Thank you.
Thank you for being so humble. So we are already impressed with your profile. So we have in our panel today Vikram Singh, an MIB from ESC France and an MBA from Pune University. Vikram Singh is an account director with L&T Finance, a banker, an author, an angel investor, and a regular guest faculty at India's top business schools. Vikram is a passionate traveler, and he loves to write in his free time, which extensively involves new age technology and space exploration. He has co-authored a research paper with IIT Delhi on artificial intelligence in banking, and he writes regularly for business magazines. His debut novel, Mystery of the Urban Monks, has been a huge success. So congratulations and welcome, Vikram, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jyoti, and thank you, Nitish, for inviting me and and for the generous introduction. And when I was hearing Parjanya, I could relate to it because people who are actually working in corporates and trying to do something creative, they feel where the actual soul is. So fortunately, I have done this transition for the last 7-8 years, and where I focus on my writing also, and which gave a lot of breathing space. If you're in bank, especially if you're in banking, it's a very stressful job. So I can relate to what Parjanya said. So I thought I'll share with you my view on that as well.
That's absolutely. I'm right behind you, Vikram.
Yeah, so very kind of you to share that with us. And we have Vikram Saxena with us today, the brain behind the Lit Tour and the founder of Literia Insight. Vikram Saxena is a writer and director. Welcome, Vikram. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am.
And we have Nitish Raj, editor-in-chief at the Literary Mirror. Nitish Raj is the co-founder of Literia Insight and who would also be taking the discussion further today. So welcome, Nitish. And with this, I hand the session over to you. So all yours.
Thank you, ma'am. And so first of all, welcome to each and every esteemed panelist to the show, the Lit Tour. And thankfully, due to all having the initiative, the Lit Tour is going all across the country. And so I will start with the guest of honor, Heena Dsouza. How has the filmmaking come to your life? As the introduction, ma'am said that for a young girl, it's quite tough to break into the film industry. So how did it happen?
First of all, I'm not young anymore. I'm 33 years old, but yeah, my journey started when I was quite young. I started my journey as a copywriter, and I have had my fair share of corporate jobs, the soul-sucking corporate jobs, and then finally I was lucky to get associated with Hamara Movie. It's one of the biggest short film platforms today, and they sort of nurture young talent, and they are an open platform. So I wrote my first short film. I took a leap of faith. I wrote my short film, and I went on to direct it. And thankfully, it did well on YouTube. So it gave me a lot of encouragement to keep making short films. And from there on, I went on making web series and ad films, and I'm currently writing my feature film. So it was slow, gradual, but steady.
That's great. That's great. Actually, talked about corporate. I think everyone here has been into corporate, in one way or the other. Even, Jyoti ma'am has worked with Infosys. So obviously the corporate is something, which is, people have different opinion. Actually, when I was working with ICC headquarters, actually I enjoyed that phase. So I'll contradict a little bit, everyone have their own, experiences. So coming to Vikram, sir. So you had been into accounts and finance background and AI, artificial intelligence. So how this writing thing happened in your life?
See, like you just mentioned that you've been with ICC headquarters and you thoroughly enjoyed your time there. I also used to do that back in the day when I started working. In fact, I started my career in Mumbai only, and I am one of those few Delhiites who are very fond of Mumbai and who love Mumbai like mad. Because Mumbai gave me a lot. I was there for 4 years, but I had the best of the time and great career there. So yes, first 10 years, yes, I had a great time and I used to work very hard, a lot of energy and focus and drive, etc. But then banking job is too stressful. I was into capital markets, which means stock markets, etc. So you have to be too much into numbers and figures, etc. So it actually drained a lot of energy from me. So what I did was then I started traveling initially. So first 10 years, I was just focused on my work and just trying to give my best. And then I thought, maybe I need some break. So I started traveling. I traveled a lot, so much so that, I can easily say that I've seen almost 70-80% of the country. You name any place. I can say most touristic place, most known places I would have been. Even a lot of unknown also I would have seen. So then from banking, I moved on to, of course, continued my job, but then also gave a chance to traveling and exploring the world. And when you travel, travel gives you a lot of experiences. And then writing is just about, penning down your experiences. And, I keep saying in my previous discussions also that as a writer, we just, we have all the data points, like, in form of our knowledge that we have acquired, our experiences, our learnings, our observations, etc., and just try to make it entertaining for the readers. So yeah, so that was a good experience. So then I had some thoughts, picked some characters from, I used to observe a lot. So I started writing short stories and then eventually, then a novel, etc. So yeah, the journey has been great so far. But I must say that, the kind of enjoyment that I get from writing, and, when I say enjoyment, it means that, when I used to go to office, morning till evening, I used to be very exhausted. But writing, even if I'm writing for 6, 7, 8 hours, I enjoy it and I don't feel the pain. So maybe that's where we creative people belong.
Of course. I remember, one line of, Jyoti ma'am, that reading, if I'm wrong, please correct it, ma'am. Reading is enriching and writing is liberating. Yes. If I'm not wrong. Okay, reading is enriching and writing is liberating. And we're talking about short stories. We have one, author in our panel who is a great fan of Franz Kafka. And the stature of Franz Kafka is so high, that even the best of the authors are called that, he had just, shadowed the Kafka, style. So why do you consider, Parjanya sir, Franz Kafka as your idol?
Now, this is a little oblique thing to say, but well, I read Metamorphosis and I think The Trial, and The Trial was my first book. Where I really relate to Kafka is that there is a lot of intense pain in his life that I relate to. My journey has been one of a lot of roller coasters and struggles. And the funny part is that I've not been able to put all of that into anything that's longer lasting and probably relatable to readers. So I think if this is not incorrect, he urged his friend to burn all his books and his papers, not books. They were all manuscripts. He wanted them to be burned. And his friend didn't do that. And that's why we are all able to read it. So I think I'm my worst critic, and I feel that whatever I do can't be good. And for heaven's sake, I will not do anything that is mediocre. I will not bring it to the table. And I think Heena will relate to this, because in the copy environment, you had to deliver, you had to be on top of your game. You could not give anything substandard. So the same exact standards that I ask from myself prevents me from maybe sharing more things out with the wide world. I have done in bits and pieces, but then I've been, so I wouldn't say shy. I've just been very, very tortured. Will this go? Will this fly? Will this not? Might as well put it back. Why apni khilli udao kind of environment.
Sir, आपने जैसे फ्रांस काफका की बात करी, हाँ, आपने ऐसी फ्रांस काफका की बात की, तो फ्रांस काफका की दुख का एक मैं छोटा सा मुजाहरा पेश कर दूं। उनकी 4 बार एंगेजमेंट हुई और 4 बार उनकी फियांसे उन्हें छोड़ के चली गई। अब इससे ज्यादा दुख तो इंसान की लाइफ में क्या ही होगा।
What can be? सही बात कहा आपने। What can be more? मतलब
बंदे की शादी होते होते बार-बार रह गई।
शायद इसीलिए शायद इतने महान लेखक बने।
तो वो चीजें तो कहीं ना कहीं देखिए, वो एक बड़ी अच्छी सी बात है कि कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम जो कर रहे हैं और उसमें अगर कहीं ना जो दुख नहीं आ रहा अंदर से, वो कहते हैं ना, जब मुझे याद है रंजीत सिंह सही के डायरेक्टर से बातचीत हो रही थी, तो उन्होंने कहा कि मेरी लाइफ ना सेटल्ड लाइफ है, ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मैं बहुत मतलब मीडियोकर फैमिली से, माय फादर इज वेरी गुड इन टर्म्स ऑफ फाइनेंसेस, माय वाइफ इज इन अ गुड जॉब, बट मैंने ना सड़कों से खरीद के लाया है, एक तरह से सड़कों से सोचा मुझे क्या दुख मिल सकता है ताकि मेरे अंदर की क्रिएटिविटी बाहर निकले। तो वो भी चीज होती है, कई बार हम खुद ढूंढते भी हैं ये सारी चीजें, तो खैर चलती रहती है चीजें।
नितिश, लेकिन आपने जो कमेंट किया ना काफका के बारे में कि वो शायद 4 बार हुआ और काफी उनको प्रॉब्लम भी हुई, I can say for sure that most people who are married have been quiet, so they may have a different perspective to it.
Sir, actually I'm a bachelor right now, so I can understand
so Nitish probably does not qualify. I don't know about the others, but
yes. So married people refrain from commenting
so all
on
married people, you see the expression and he's married, and okay, so somehow the questions, I mean, not to suggest any hint of misogyny here. I think women also probably have equal measure it's against their husbands.
Yeah, it's both ways. It works both ways. Yes.
वो दिल्ली वाले बोलते हैं ना, शादी का लड्डू नहीं खाया तो पछता है और खाया तो definitely पछता है. So it is a stage that one must go through, and I think Nitish is probably at that cusp where he will reach there and he will tell us कि हाँ भाई पहले ऐसा था, अब ऐसा हो गया है।
मुझे याद है ज्योति मैम से एक बार डिस्कशन हो रहा था, तो हमने कहा देखो, हमने मेरी जो रिसेंट बुक थी लव इन मॉडर्न टाइम्स, मैंने कहा मैम शादी होने दो, 2-3 साल के बाद मैरिज इन मॉडर्न टाइम्स लिखूंगा, क्योंकि शादी का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है तो उसको लिखना बेमानी होगा। तो वो चीजें चलती हैं। और मैरिज का
सॉरी नहीं प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
नहीं मैम, यू आर टेलिंग समथिंग।
नो दैट्स फाइन, प्लीज आप कंप्लीट।
तो वही चीज है कि हम कहीं ना कहीं जिस चीज के लिए, जैसा सर ने कहा कि अभी नितिश जी क्वालिफाई नहीं करते इस बात को करने के लिए, तो मैंने कहा सर बात तो सही है, बैचलर आदमी शादी के बारे में कितना ही बता पाएगा। खैर आगे बढ़ाते हैं। Ma'am, there's a question to you. How do you represent your voice through your films? Heena ma'am.
I think that there is no conscious effort that one does in representing your voice. वो आ ही जाता है. I mean, whatever your ideologies are, whatever your beliefs are, would indirectly transpire in your stories. Some way they will find their way into their stories, in your stories. So I don't think I sit and make it a point that this is I'm a very story driven person. If I whatever I write or whatever I make, I get inspired by stories, and that's how I begin writing. I do not and then wherever my writing takes me, wherever my characters take me, I've never I don't remember that I've ever sat consciously and thought that nahi, इस कहानी के थ्रू मेरे certain ideas convey होने चाहिए, और वो हो जाते हैं, because your story comes from you and it somehow organically happens.
तो इसमें एक thought आया मैम, and I really wanted to ask you this. So Raj Kamal Jha, who wrote the Blue Bedspread, और उसके बाद उन्होंने कभी नहीं लिखा, he was asked कि it is said that this book is autobiographical. So half of this book is autobiographical, then he said you will have to find out which half. तो क्या ये सच है कि हमारे शायद फर्स्ट इनिशियल बुक्स और नॉवेल्स जो हैं they are really based on us as human beings, or we are projecting those characters into the plot initially? Because मान लीजिए I am someone who has a certain viewpoint, और मेरे लिए exact opposite viewpoint में जाना could be tough in the initial phases. शायद मैं by and by वो चीज कर पाऊं. आपका क्या ख्याल है इसके बारे में?
I agree to it, because see, your thoughts come from you. I mean, whatever your exposure is, whatever your experience is. And that's why people say that as a writer or as a filmmaker, you should read more, you should experience more, you should not be rigid in terms of your ideas. I also believe that I'm never very stringent on my ideas. Like, I always keep it a point that I listen to conflicting ideas and at least digest it in my mind, because it is true, because you are the person who's writing. These are your thoughts, right? Even if you design a character, even if you that's what you call sensibilities, है ना? Because अगर एक story है और एक character है, I might write it differently, you might write it differently. Even to the fact that a same script, if you give it to two different directors, they can treat it entirely differently. The whole flavor, and that's the reason a lot of production houses seek for women director, because we have a certain way of looking at women oriented stories. Because somehow we have felt and we have gone through those. यार फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस तो ऑर्गेनिक होते ही होते हैं, इसमें कोई शक की बात नहीं है. देयर इज अ ब्रांच ऑफ राइटिंग विच इज कॉल्ड एन इमेजिनेटिव राइटिंग. Unfortunately, a lot of Indian authors and filmmakers are not very good at imaginative writing. इसलिए हमारे यहाँ पर इतना अच्छा सुपर हीरो फिल्म्स नहीं बनती हैं. So that is something, we lack exposure in that sort of a genre. But I agree that your exposure, your ideas, your imagination drive your writing. And which is also true that in your initial years of writing, you kind of write only those stories that are close to you. And then slowly and gradually you adapt to new experiences, because pehle to you are getting a hang on craft only. आप राइटिंग या फिल्म मेकिंग एज अ क्राफ्ट एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हो, एंड द इजीएस्ट वे टू मास्टर द क्राफ्ट इज टू राइट समथिंग विच इज वेरी क्लोज टू यू, and then you go ahead and do more of imaginative writing, get into the shoes of a character which might not even exist on this planet, and to be able to write for that character is when you have sort of mastered the art of imaginative writing. So yes, I agree that initially, for me also, like initial years of my writing, I write a lot of comedy, I write a lot of relationship, I write a lot of small town stories, because I hail from a small town. So subconsciously it happens, because that's easy, I would say.
Would you say कि pressure cooker had a more small town flavor as compared with Mukesh Jasus, for instance, which was definitely Mumbai, even though it didn't say so?
Mukesh Jasus was, I think both of them, Mukesh Jasus was also a very rooted story, because it was a chawl based stories. I'm not for Mumbai, but now I've spent more than 10 years here. And I would agree with Vikram that this is a very magical city. It has given me a lot, and this city sort of, pushes you to, sort of explore your dreams. So I'm also in love with, and Mukesh Jasus, I feel Pressure Cooker and Mukesh Jasus in a way are both, Mumbai is a big town, it's a metropolitan town, but again it was a story of a suburbs. So somewhere I feel the flavor was slightly similar. The genre were very different. Pressure Cooker was entirely drama, and Mukesh Jasus was a thriller comedy. But I feel some essence was similar.
And would you say that black comedies are something that you enjoy? I mean, I like that particular scene where they were rescuing souls, and then they were changing places on the scooter, where this guy is there in front and then he goes back, and then she's almost falling off. Then they tie her back into the to Mukesh, and then finally these people speed off. So it reminded me of Jaane Bhi Do Yaro somehow. The fact that you were talking about a very serious situation, kuch bhi ho sakta hai, and there is this comic play that is happening just to give you that little relief.
Yeah, I love dark comedy as a genre. I just love it. It's
okay, coming to the question. Coming to the question. Coming to the book question. Yeah, sorry, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Nitish ji, if इजाजत हो तो एक सवाल मेरा.
जी बताएं मैम.
Okay. हिना जी ने अभी एक बात कही कि whenever there is a story which is from a female perspective, तो उसके लिए प्रेफर किया जाता है एक वुमन राइटर या फिर वुमन डायरेक्टर को. तो यू कॉल योरसेल्फ अ फेमिनिस्ट, और आपकी पहली नॉवल और बहुत सारी स्टोरीज फीमेल पर्सपेक्टिव से रहती हैं. तो आप इस बात से कितने सहमत हो, या आप क्या बोलना चाहोगे इस पर?
ये सवाल
नीतीश जी आपसे. जी
देखिए, मेरी पहली बुक जो थी वो गैंगरेप की थी. उस टाइम पे बहुत से मतलब मेल्स, बहुत शायद एक आधे गिने चुने होंगे जिन्होंने गैंगरेप पे लिखने की हिम्मत करी होगी. और मुझे याद है, मुझे बहुत ज्यादा रिजेक्शंस भी मिले इसलिए कि मीडिया से कि नहीं सर, इसका रिव्यू पॉसिबल नहीं है, या कई एडिटर्स के साथ. मेरा पर्सनल ये थॉट है कि एक औरत को समझने के लिए औरत होना जरूरी नहीं है. मुझे प्रेमचंद की एक बहुत अच्छा सा जो है लाइन याद आती है, मुंशी प्रेमचंद साहब की, कि अगर एक आदमी में एक औरत के गुण आ जाए तो महान हो जाता है, और एक औरत में अगर एक आदमी का गुण आ जाए तो सॉरी पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे वो उल्टा हो जाती है. तो जिन्हें बड़े बड़े पुरोधा जो है हमारे हिंदी साहित्य के या किसी भी फील्ड ऑफ लिटरेचर में हर इस तरह की सिमिलर बात कही गई होगी, तो शायद एक औरत का दर्द लिखने के लिए हमें औरत बनने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसका दर्द समझने की जरूरत है.
अच्छी बात कही आपने. थैंक यू, काफी अच्छी बात कही.
I also want to add something here.
Sure,
I think I agree with most of you, and like Heena rightly said that it is always being a woman director is always advantage. If you are trying to direct a feminist kind of a movie. But I must say that I think times have changed a lot. If I look at the thought process of my parents or my grandparents and how we've been brought up, and but unfortunately, yes, I agree that Indian men have not yet caught up with the progressive mind of women till now.
True.
But I think things have changed a lot. And like Nitish said, we have people like, I think hats off to Nitish if he's taken up such a important topic and written a book and faced challenges. Still he went. I think we have a lot of people like that. I think we just need to look around, and I think and it's up to us that how we groom our sons to today, and what we teach them. And I think going forward, we are not very far from men and women being equal in society. I think maybe it's a matter of another 5-10 years or so. I think things are changing very fast. I would look at it more positively. I think the change is there.
Indeed. Okay, sir. Vikram, sir. Coming to your book, Mystery of the Urban Monks. So again, the first word is itself a mystery, and how normally we say that the title reveals a lot. So is the title revealing what as a general reader we are assuming it, or something different from the title in your book? So something about your book.
It's a title. If you read the title, you can maybe get an idea about the characters, because urban monks is basically people like you and me, people who live in big cities. I somehow believe that you don't have to be up in the mountains, and just be meditating to have a spiritual side. So normal people like us who have normal, day-to-day lives, we can also have a spiritual side. We can also be connected, to the universe. So urban monks means everybody, all of us, people living in metros or small towns or cities, etc. And mystery is it's a story of 3 friends and their story. And, they're born and brought up in suburban Mumbai. And from there, they go on a trip to Goa, and something happens there, then their life changes and they all go in 3 different directions, and then it gets connected back again. So yes, mystery element is there. And as I said, urban monks, it means that, all people, it's our story, basically, all of us.
That's your message. It's quite relatable. You need not to be, into the mountains to understand the book.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I somehow feel that you will find people with much pure heart and much honest and much nicer people, who are not wearing those chogas and, who are just living a normal day-to-day life, and they have more apathy and they are more, more close to universe. I think when you are wearing so much of things, then you are actually in a way portraying, normal people like us, we don't have to portray, we just live our life and, just accept universe and, just believe in humanity. I think most of us are like that. So I believe that most of people are spiritual. It's just that, we go on the attire more of people who are wearing those chogas and they are, acting more. We don't have to act, we all are spiritual people. So I think, that's what.
Very interesting premise.
Thank you.
And sir, the director is saying that it's an interesting premise, so I think we should hope for the best.
Yeah, that's a compliment. I'm sending a copy to. I'm sending a copopy to.
No, I will buy it. It's available on Amazon.
That's so sweet.
Yes, very much. Yes. Thank you.
नहीं, आपने सर एक बड़ी अच्छी सी बात कही और मैं इस बात को मतलब इस लाइन से रिलेट करना चाहूंगा कि नॉर्मल आदमी के साथ अच्छी बात है वो ज्यादा सोचते नहीं है, क्योंकि हम ज्यादा सोचने लगते हैं राइटर्स के साथ थोड़ी मतलब क्योंकि सारे राइटर्स हैं तो इसलिए मैं लिबर्टी ले रहा हूँ थोड़ा बोलने की कि हम ना कई चीजों को कई बार बहुत ज्यादा ओवर थिंक कर लेते हैं और जो प्रॉब्लम होती नहीं है उस प्रॉब्लम को भी जो है हम मतलब सामने लाके खड़ा कर देते हैं। जैसे मैं नॉर्मली कॉलेज के सेशन जब करता हूँ तो थोड़ा बच्चों एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि अगर ब्रेकअप हो जाए तो हम नॉर्मल लाइफ में क्या होता है, ठीक है हो गया, थोड़े दिन रो लिया गा लिया, उसके बाद मूव ऑन कर लिया। अगर गलती से हम राइटर हैं और हमारा ब्रेकअप हो जाए तो 500-600 ऐसी परेशानियां आएंगी जो उस टाइम परेशानियां थी भी नहीं। तो ये एक बड़ा है सही मतलब नॉर्मल लाइफ जीने का एक बेनिफिट कह सकते हैं, नॉट विदाउट बीइंग अ मॉन्क।
इसमें मैं एक बात करना चाहूंगा। ये मैं वापस जाता हूं अपने एडवर्टाइजिंग बैकग्राउंड में एंड आई एम श्योर हिना विल बी एबल टू रिलेट कि हम लोग बोलते हैं कि हम सब यूनिक हैं, एक प्रोडक्ट यूनिक है, बाकी कैटेगरी में से बिल्कुल हटके है। तो अगर हम राइटर्स हैं हमारा तो ये फर्ज बनता है कि हम वो गहन चिंतन करें कि ये अगर ब्रेकअप हुआ क्या हम इसके लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल थे, क्या सर्कमस्टेंसेस रिस्पॉन्सिबल थी, वो लड़की की इश्यूज थी कि क्या था, इट कांट बी सो सुपरफिशियल। बुरा मत मानिएगा, आई एम प्रोबेबली आप सब में से आई मस्ट बी दी ओल्डेस्ट, बट मुझे लगता है कि कभी कभी कुछ मामलों में शायद मुझे लगता है कि आज के डेट पे लोग इनफ इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते रिलेशनशिप्स में, या तो वो बड़ी सुपरफिशियल रह जाती है और हम फ्लोट करते रहते हैं और ये हमारा जो क्या कहते हैं डिजिटल रियलिटी है या डिजिटल नेटिव्स हैं, हम ज्यादा टाइम उधर स्पेंड करते हैं बजाय कि रियल लाइफ में ट्राइंग टू मीट पीपल। तो अगर ये बात है तो सुपरफिशियल और डेप्थ का अगर कंपैरिजन करें तो फिर आई थिंक द चॉइस इज वेरी क्लियर। ये डेफिनेटली आपको टॉर्चर करता है। अगर आप बोलेंगे ओवरथिंक, मेरे बॉस मेरे को बोलते हैं ओवरथिंक मत करिए तो मैं बहुत रिएक्ट करता हूँ।
सर देखिए परजान्या सर
मेरा फंक्शन है ओवरथिंक करने का। अगर मैं
डिबेटेबल टॉपिक Parjanya sir, love has always debatable since ages. Sir, moving to the last part of the conversation, I would hand over to Jyoti ma'am to conclude it.
Okay. Actually मेरा एक सवाल विकास जी के लिए भी था तो I think वो नहीं है लाइन पर करने में।
for some emergency.
Okay. So Nitish, I would like to ask you, क्योंकि किताबों पर बात हो रही है, सिनेमा पर बात हो रही है और हमारे पास राइटर्स हैं एंड डायरेक्टर हैं, तो आपको क्या लगता है बुक्स और सिनेमा में ऑब्वियस डिफरेंसेस तो हैं बट अदरवाइज ऑन डिफरेंट लेवल्स क्या अलग है, क्या सिमिलैरिटी है, क्या डिफरेंट है?
देखिए बुक्स हमेशा जैसे बहुत बारी डिस्कशन होता है बुक और सिनेमा में, सबसे पहले हम ये समझना कि दोनों कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट फॉर्म ऑफ आर्ट है। एक बुक लिखना और पढ़ना वो अलग बात है, एक सिनेमा बनाना और एक सिनेमा देखना वो अलग बात है। तो सबसे पहले तो अनफेयर कंपैरिजन है कि अगर हम बुक और जो सिनेमा है या वेब सीरीज है आजकल चलती हैं, शॉर्ट फिल्में हैं, बहुत तरह की फिल्में होती हैं, तो उनमें हम कंपेयर करके सबसे बड़ी गलती करें। क्योंकि अगर बुक जो लिख रहे हैं उसका एक अलग वैल्यू है, अलग कॉनोटेशन है और पढ़ने का एक्सपीरियंस अलग। एक मूवी बनाने का, मूवी देखने का, एक रीडर होने का, एक व्यूअर होने का, सबका एक डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंस है। और मुझे लगता है उस एक्सपीरियंस को अगर हम समझ जाए तो ये जो डिबेट चलती रहती है कि बुक से जब ऐसा है तो स्क्रीन में जाएगा तो खराब हो जाएगा, अगर स्क्रीन को देख के बुक लिखी जाए तो शायद बुक अच्छी नहीं लिखी जाएगी, ऐसा नहीं है। देयर आर पर्सन्स हु आर मास्टर ऑफ देयर क्राफ्ट, तो उन्होंने अच्छी लिखी है। और जैसा कि मैम ने बोला था, हिना मैम ने, कि हमारे इंडिया में भी अच्छे राइटर्स के आने की बहुत जरूरत है, तो अच्छे राइटर्स आएंगे तो शायद ये सवाल ऑटोमेटिक खत्म हो जाएगा।
थैंक यू। तो एक आपने कंपैरिजन की अभी जैसे बात की, तो मैं कंपैरिजन तो नहीं पूछूंगी, लेकिन हिना मैम से मेरा एक सवाल है। मैम, आपने काफी फॉर्म्स ऑफ सिनेमा किया है, शॉर्ट फिल्म्स की हैं और वेब सीरीज की हैं, तो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस, व्हाट डिड यू फाइंड लाइक डिफरेंट इन ऑल फॉर्म्स?
See, I feel सबके challenges अलग अलग होते हैं. So for instance, एक शॉर्ट फिल्म का जो पूरा प्रोडक्शन का टर्न अराउंड टाइम होता है वो बहुत छोटा होता है. तो आई फील यू आर मोर इमोशनली एंगेज्ड विद दैट प्रोजेक्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ 4 दिन का शूट होता है, 3 या 4 दिन का. एंड बिकॉज शॉर्ट फिल्म्स आर नॉट येट अ वे टू मोनेटाइज unless and until we have brands on board. तो शॉर्ट फिल्म में बजट लिमिटेशंस भी होते हैं, क्रू छोटा होता है, तो मुझे पर्सनली टीम बहुत इंटीमेट होती है. तो दैट्स अ वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. मेकिंग अ शॉर्ट फिल्म इज मच मोर इजियर इन टर्म्स ऑफ बिकॉज from continuity perspective there are lesser chances of going wrong in what you are doing. Web series is a bigger challenge because you are shooting for 15 to 20 to 30 days in a go. And I feel when I'm shooting a web series, you sort of form a mini family, because in those 20 days you are living with a crew of 60 people. You are literally from day to night. And again, in the web series also today the budgets are very stringent, so it has a lot of challenges because you're not shooting chronological order, right? So it requires a lot more engagement in terms of at every point there has to be an intervention to see what you've written on the script, is it transpiring on screen or not. So web series, of course,
yes, sorry to interrupt. Yes, it is interesting and we would definitely like to know more on it, but unfortunately the timer is on and we would have to call it off. And thank you so much for sharing that insight, and maybe next time we get to know more from you and from all of you. So thank you all so much for being here today and for enlightening us on such an important discussion about books, drama and screen. We learned a lot, and it was so much to learn from. So thank you so much. Thank you, Heena.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. And we could have continued with this discussion on and on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There should definitely be a sequel.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई थी.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We have unfinished work already. So
this is Delhi, not Mumbai. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है Delhi. We party late and we party late into the night.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you so
meeting
much.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.